All right, the big question everybody's got, what is it yielding? Well, now that we got this first field done, about the first 15 acres, I gotta say, I'm shocked. Let me get you a washer and nut. I'm gonna try and reach up in there and stick it up in there. Oh, that's gonna be the rough one to get to. All right, we got all three bolts of this vane in. What I was showing you the other day is it was in this position yesterday, which these things are moving back and forth, and you can see as I move the bottom of it here, it puts the vane at more of an angle, and this is what controls the flow of crop through the rotor. And if we lay it more at an angle, it speeds the crop up as it goes through the rotor, whereas in corn we need it, you know, closer to straight up and down to retard the flow. And basically what that does, it gives the crop another, you know, revolution or two inside the rotor cage for threshing and separating to happen before it gets ejected out the back of the rotor there. So we got that installed. All we got to do is tighten those up real good, and this part be ready to go again. All right, I got that ground down to a pretty nice ramp there to where there's not a ledge, and stuff ought to flow into the feeder house pretty dang smoothly now. So hopefully that's step number one on this problem getting solved. All right, last order of business before we get started. Fabricated this piece of metal right here to cover up the gaps here in my center hood. Now that we got the feeder house ground down, smooth transition, all this material shouldn't be like boiling up in here before it goes into the feeder house. So if you can see down here, I mean, we still got a pretty dang big gap, and I mean, this stuff's going to shell as it's coming down the auger. We'll have loose kernels, and then, you know, as this gathering train comes around, the lugs can catch kernels and shoot them that way. So what I've done is I made that plate right there to cover up a lot of that gap right there, hopefully minimize the kernel loss. It's not going to be 100% effective, but I mean, you know, that's just the nature of the corn head. So got that mounted up, and just going to weld it in there. Probably just spot weld it now just in case it doesn't work so well and I need to easily take it out. All right, got it in. Don't judge my welding skills because difficult place, and the generator on the air compressor is not running full speed, so got some crappy welds, but I think it'll hold. We'll test it out, but got all this gap filled up, so hopefully it'll minimize our kernel loss. All right, I think we got all the odds and ends covered. So let's get hooked up and start getting some corn out. All right, let's see if all of our fixes and modifications made any improvements. Well, stuff does seem to be going into the feeder house a little bit better. Don't see it just sitting there boiling up. Although we definitely got more stuff going into the feeder house than normal because we got some weak stalks, and there's quite a few tops that are getting broken off and coming in through the corn head. The rotor loss is staying nice and low. All right, let's get down there and see what the losses look like, see if we finally got this thing dialed in. All right, our primary concerns are going to be right here in the center of the combine where the feeder house is. So we got a kernel there, we got 2 there. Definitely a huge improvement. Now right here in the center of the combine, we got probably about maybe what would be the equivalent of 4 bushels an acre if it was spread across a whole 38 feet. But considering it's all concentrated right here in the center, I mean, that's very marginal. Look over here on the side. One there. That's probably what, 2 or 3 square foot. I mean, one there. I mean, that's like about a half a bushel an acre per loss. Look over here on the outside. I'm seeing nothing. Well, there's one right there. There's one. That's pretty dang good. You know, with it being opening day of dove season, I hope nobody's planning on hunting this field, especially Carter. He might not have real good luck. There's just not leaving a whole lot of corn out here. So I think with those fixes that we made, I think we finally got this thing dialed in and doing a good job. First unload on the go of the year. Our goal is to get as much corn done as we can today, because there's a chance this might be the only day we got in the field for a little while. Yeah, that's right. We've actually got some rain chances coming in for tonight, tomorrow night, and early Wednesday. Got a 30% chance tonight, 40 tomorrow, 30 tomorrow night, and 30 on Wednesday. There's a chance we might actually get rained out. And normally I don't like to see rain during harvest, but this year, oh, I would absolutely love to be knocked out of the field for a couple days. If we can get a rain now, there's a chance it could still help some of the cotton and some of the later beans. There's still a chance that they can recover and add some yield if we can get a little bit of moisture in that soil. But as usual, what's happened the last month, rain chances are dropping, because Saturday they were calling for like a 50% chance of rain on Tuesday, and you know, they're slowly knocking the chances back. But still, I've got hope, I've got faith that it will rain again here in West Tennessee at some point. So today I'd absolutely love to get this farm done. You know, maybe this 60 acres where I'm gonna get the canola planted. If we can get a rain on these corn stalks, it'll just speed up the decomposition of the corn stalks, and we'll make planting the canola a little bit easier. All right, the big question everybody's got: what is it yielding? Well, now that we got this first field done, about the first 15 acres, I gotta say, I'm shocked. You know, before I started, I said final corn average, all acres, 136. Well, this first field is yielding 147 bushels an acre. And this is what I thought was going to be, you know, some of my poorer corn. Maybe not my absolutely worst, but some of my poorer corn. Real thin hill ground, not really suited for corn. Big drought and everything. Didn't fertilize it heavily, didn't have a thick population rate. Conventional corn, and then not only that, you know, all that nitrogen that we lost on the first 100 acres where I didn't treat my urea with agritane and it didn't get rained in. No, we lost some nitrogen there. I saw it when we were spraying a fungicide on the corn, that it was not as green as it should have been. Definitely had some nitrogen loss. 147 bushels an acre on this first field. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am absolutely shocked. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing some great yields going down through the field. I mean, you know, we got some bad spots. You know, we got some 70 bushel corn out here on the knobs of the sides of the hills where there's literally no topsoil, and then you dip down the bottom, seeing 260, 270 bushel corn. I can't believe it. But yeah, so far, I mean, if my yield monitor's yielding right, for the year that we've had, it's yielding really good. I tell you what, we needed that. Now it's going to take me what I figure like 166 bushels an acre to break even. So we're not breaking even, but we're also not losing near as much money every acre as what I thought we would. If those kind of yields keep up, we're not going to have an insurance claim on corn. You know, my APH is just not high enough to draw a claim on, you know, below average yields. We sure enough got to have some really bad yields to draw a claim on corn. And a big reason of that is because we've got a 3-year rotation, whereas a lot of folks in the Midwest got a 2-year rotation. We've got a 3-year rotation, and crop insurance takes the last 10 years of production history for that crop. So I mean, we've got some histories going back, you know, 30 years on our APH, and you can imagine, you know, corn yields 30 years ago, they wasn't good. But hey, that's fine with me. I'm not an insurance farmer, and to have yields above, you know, what my insurance guarantee was, that's good. And, you know, we might not have a claim on yield this year, but we could have a claim on price, because I want to say that guaranteed price for corn was somewhere up in the $5 range. Right now it's in the $4 range. So even though our yields might be above what my yield guarantee was, you know, my per acre income might be below what my per acre guarantee was. So I've already called my crop insurance. I said, just go ahead and file a claim on all my crops this fall, and once we get it harvested, we'll sort everything out. So I mean, there's still a chance, you know, we can draw a claim on corn, but a lot of it depends on what the price of corn does during the price of October. That's when the harvest price is set, and if corn prices happen to shoot up during October, well, then that would negate, you know, drawing any kind of claim on that. But anyway, I got to brag about this DeKalb 111. I think it's dash 30 or 35. Anyway, one of them is a popular, you know, full traded GMO. I can't remember if it's the 30 or the 35. Well, anyway, I've got the conventional version planted, and I got to say, this corn's a freaking beast. I've only shelled 15 acres of it so far, but I absolutely love it so far. And I've already called my seed salesman to tell him I want some more of this conventional variety next year for sure. You know, that's something that we really struggle with for quite a few years now, is finding a variety that has really good stress tolerance. It does good on your tough ground, tough conditions and everything. But if you fall into a lot stouter part of the field, or you have a really good growing year, it also has a lot of upside yield potential. And I tell you what, the last variety we planted was Pioneer 0912 that fit that bill, and we last planted it, heck, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, and we've been really struggling to find that kind of variety ever since. And we've tried a bunch of them, but I think we might have finally found one. I'm loving this DeKalb 111, 30 or 35. You know, to go through the stress that it had with drought this year, not enough nitrogen, poor hill ground, and to be doing what it's doing, this is definitely a variety I'm going to keep on planting. Y'all see the edge of the zombie trail over there? We're getting ready to open here at the very end of September. If y'all are in the area, y'all be sure to come by and see us. Open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night in October. You know, if you want a family-friendly event that's not scary or whatever, you know, the Zombie Trail Paintball is perfect for you. You ride on a trailer through a mile-long trail in the woods. Got a paintball gun affixed to your station on the trailer. Everything in the scenes is lit by black lights. That's the only light out there. All the paintballs are got fluorescent paint, so you can track them to your target. Family friendly, kids absolutely love it. And then, hey, if you want to be frightened, if you got a taste for that, we got something for those types of people too, with the Camp Blood haunted cabin attraction. We got 7 different cabins through the woods that you have to walk a path to get through them, and each cabin has got its own haunt theme or whatever. And let me tell you, the guys working there in the cabins, they get aggressive, they love to scare, and if that's your cup of tea, I believe you'll enjoy it. And then of course we've also got the corn maze out there also. Got a pretty challenging corn maze. You got to try and find your way through at night. You know, we kind of got some lights shining out over it, but it's pretty dark. Nothing scary about it, nothing hidden out there. You just got the challenge of trying to find your way out of a 4.5 acre corn maze.
Welcome to day 2 of corn harvest. As you can see, it's going very well. That's why Mia and I are gonna stay right here while the boys fight the header. As you can tell, Miss Mia has gotten a little bit bigger since wheat harvest. We are very crowded in this cab, but doing the best we can. She has entered the Aussie pole phase, and we bark at everything. We growl at everything, and we don't sleep at night. She doesn't sleep. I don't get it, but it's like having a toddler around. She has finally decided that she wants to get out on her own. Earlier, she was barking at me to get her out, so I'm going to attempt to venture over there and see if I can be of any assistance. Honestly, I don't think I can, and I'm just patiently waiting for tools to start flying. As you can see from the behind the scenes over here in this cab, it's going pretty well. So the camera that we had on the back of this buggy finally cropped out, and we got a new one. The only problem is quality's not so great with the monitor, so I'm guessing that this is an upgraded version, and we don't have an upgraded version monitor. So it's kind of like watching 1980s TV with bad bunny ears. People who are older will understand that, but there's no adjusting those bunny ears. Also, you can tell just how dry it is. I've never ever seen it this dry here, and I've been in Tennessee since 2001. So today we are on day 62 of no rain. There is a slight chance in the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday, but I believe it when I see it. It is literally like riding a bull over broken pieces of concrete when this thing is full and empty. There is no happy medium. And then of course Matt ripped this up, and it's 50 times worse.
Well, we finally made it to some really respectable corn. We're just about done with this farm. We're on the very back side, and down here about a 4 acre bottom. Pretty stout ground down here. Look at that. I mean, not too shabby at all. And we're pretty close to the edge of the field. It's getting a little bit shaded. Heck yeah. Yeah, this decal variety, it's stout. I'm liking it. And I mean, that's pretty much what we're going to see all corn harvest. We're going to see some high highs, and we're going to see some low lows. So at least I knew that going in, but I'm still pleasantly surprised with what the corn yielding based upon what I thought. Now, yields have tailed off a little bit on this farm from my last report. My yield monitor showing about 140 bushels an acre, so that's better than what I thought this particular farm would do by at least probably 15 plus bushels. You know, I gotta say, you know, I've preached a lot, you know, have faith, good Lord will provide, all that kind of stuff. But when you're in the midst of the worst drought you've ever seen. You know, us with our limited view have a really hard time of seeing just how it's going to happen. And you know, I know the Lord can provide. I know He's provided in the past. I know He can work miracles and everything, but somehow it's still, for whatever reason, it's still tough to have the faith that He actually will. And you know, that's something that I've struggled with this year, but I've seen the proof that He will provide. He will take care. He's given us better yields than what I thought. I've seen it in other ways, in sickness and health. You know, when I thought that there was, you know, I've known people where, you know, I thought there was no hope of recovery. Everything was lost. I was still praying. I still knew God could take over, God could provide a miracle, but I'd lost faith that He would provide that miracle. And you know, with that situation, you know, our situation, God is good. He will take care of you, and He's done it. It's just with our limited view, a lot of times it's tough for us to keep the faith that even though He's done it time and time again, that He'll keep on doing it. So that's my lesson for the day. Just don't ever lose the faith. Even though a situation might not turn out the way that you want to, you keep the faith. It will turn out all right and for the better. So anyway, we're moving on along pretty good today. We're going to get this farm done, and then we got another 10-acre farm right next door that we're going to put canola on. Hopefully we can get all that done before we call it a day. I made no secret, I love this GTS head, but there is one design flaw I wish they'd beef up. And that's the support for the edge snouts. Tell, I grabbed a big wad of kudzu going around the edge of that other field, and it mangled that. I mean, this part right here that supports this hood definitely needs to be stiffer, but this ain't my first rodeo straightening it back out, so I ought to be back up and running here pretty quickly. All right, it's not absolutely perfect, but it'll get us to the next kudzu pile, which will probably be on the next set of inrows. All right, I was coming along right there, and you see all that kudzu on the trees and whatnot, and anyway, it was right there on that outside corn row, and my outside snout grabbed it. Here's your useless fact for the day. Did y'all know that kudzu is not native to this area? In fact, I don't think it's native to North America at all. But it was brought over from, I believe, Europe sometime, I think the 40s and 50s for erosion control, because, I mean, it's great for, you know, preventing erosion. And it was planted alongside a lot of these ditch banks and stuff where, you know, the farmers back then were having problems with the erosion of the creeks and everything. My personal opinion is I'm all about preventing erosion. I wish they found something else to keep these creeks from washing away, because kudzu is definitely one of the veins of my existence. You see my field right there across the creek? I mean, the first few rows just out wrapped up with those vines. The problem with kudzu is it just grows so aggressively, it will literally take over everything. I mean, it'll take over entire forest and everything unless it is killed out. All right, we just got moved over here behind the woods, and we're still on some conventional corn, but we got done with our decalb, and this is our Beck's conventional corn. This was the cheapest corn seed that I planted all year long, and I don't expect the same thing out of it as a decalb. I mean, I don't, you know, this one hasn't been bred to have top-end genetics. It's been bred to be more of a reliable workhorse, and we got it on a little bit tougher farm than the last one, but it's going to be interesting to see the difference in yield. You know, we got some really good yielding places right here, and then we got some really thin places going up the hill, so we got to have a pretty good comparison. We didn't plant a whole lot of this Beck's. I think we planted like 5 bags of it last year, but looking forward towards next year at that price point, it's mighty attractive if it'll yield comparably with what that decalb did. So I'm gonna be watching this one closely. Oh, I hate that kudzu. stopping up slip clutches and everything. We just about got this field done. This is going to be all my canola ground. It is shelled, and if we can get a rain tomorrow, that would be great. Start getting these stalks and stuff started decomposing and everything. Carter went dove hunting today, so he didn't get a chance to run the ripper, but he's going to be out of school tomorrow, so we'll get him started on the ripper on this ground. Hopefully he can get all of this done tomorrow. As far as the Beck's variety, I can't remember the number. I bet it's 114 day, like 6384 maybe. I can't remember. Conventional variety. I mean, it's doing about what I thought my corn would do originally. It's definitely lacking on the top end yield and some of the low end yield compared to that decal. Not saying it's a bad variety. This is the only year I've grown it, and it was some pretty extreme conditions this year. It could just been the year just was not suited for this variety, but the other one happened to flourish. But the battle of the conventional corns for us this year, that decal 11135 was definitely superior. So what am I going to plant next year as far as conventionals? Because I think these were the only two conventionals I was able to get this year. Definitely going to plant a lot more of that decal, no doubt about that. As far as the Becks, I'm probably just going to have to go back and look at a bunch of test plot data, and you know, really not going to base a whole heck of a lot of judgment on the way mine done, just because of how extreme the year was. You know, we have a little bit better year, you know, the results could have been reversed. But anyway, we'll get done with this. That sun's already behind the tree line. We've had a pretty dang good day today. Rather than moving and starting another field tonight, we're right here by the shop. Take this thing in, get her blown off and everything, and get ready for hopefully what is a short day tomorrow. Hopefully we get rained out, but we're going to be prepared like the rain's going to miss us, and we're going to keep on going all day long.